With today's technology, you can clean it up in a second. Send it to me, I'll send it back much
How did I get here? You're wondering, how did I get to this Montreal in the freezing cold? Well, first of all, I have hundreds and hundreds of cousins in this community called the Dalfins. They're all my relatives, every single one.
Manny Dalfin.
And the Freeds, and the Hockmans, and the list goes on. I don't know any of them, but they're all my cousins. In 1941, when the 9 Bachrim came here, my family were from the first supporters of Rabbi Kramer Sholem in the yeshiva. Charles Dalfin, Murray Dalfin, Mendy Dalfin. So we have a connection. My father came here, and I think his name was Rabbi Avraham Tenenhouse. My father came off the ship, and his money was stolen. Sakwa Chassid, a famous, wealthy philanthropist, Getzel Berger, was on the ship, and he saw the way my father davened. He came out of Shlomo Chaim, came out of Lut, he came out of the yeshiva, and he davened with Kavona, he davened with Chassidish Bacher. And he said, ordinarily I wouldn't give you any money because you made a minyan of Fraya people. And to me they're goyim. But you made the minyan, and I saw the way you davened. You have no money, I'm going to give you $5 and a bottle of Coke and some of my chicken. That's what he ate on the ship. And that's how he came to America. $5 in his pocket. Because it was stolen. The money was stolen. And Getzel Berger told him, I'm giving you this, but tonight with a condition. That when you come to America, you must go see the Satmar Rebbe. My father said, you got a deal. My father's from Romania. Romania Shigiten, they got smarts. They'll deal with the Satmar Rebbe later. Now he needs the $5. But he did live up to the condition. He got a job in the Williamsburg in the Satmar bakery because he was to make some money. He had no money. And who comes in? The Satmar Rebbe. That's why I saw the Satmar Rebbe. Another story. My father was in Frankreich on the way out of Eretz Yisrael. He stayed in 6 months till he got his visa. He got his, to come into America through Teves, from a gifter, a Martha gifter. Zalman Schneerson was a big asken, as you know, in Frankreich, in Paris. My father came to him. If I had my father, and my father did well, and he said, I need a visa. I want to come into America. I want to see the Rebbe. I want to get married. I want to make some money. Hulu b'hulu. And so Reb Zalman Schneerson wrote to the Martha gifter, can you give him a visa to come in? Affidavit, thank you. Affidavit. The gifter saw the name, and he gave him. And when he came, my father it was very difficult for him to sit in yeshiva, had severe stomach problems, and he was older, already 21. But the gifter gave him the affidavit. So he took a plane from New York to Cleveland to tell Rabbi Gifter in a nice way, I love you, but I can't stay here and learn. Rabbi Gifter thought he was getting a new talent called my father's name, Dalfin. He saw him. He said, you lied to me. I thought it said Dalfin. Dalfin. There's a Sfaradish guy. A Dalfin. You're a Dalfin, and you're a Lubavitcher with a crooked hat. Go to the Rashad. You're not going to come take my affidavits that I need for Sfaradish kids. My father said to Rabbi Gifter, I'm telling you the truth. I'd love to sit and learn and stay here and learn in Cleveland and Tells, but I just can't. And I came to say thank you to you. So he went there to tell him thank you, knowing that Rabbi Gifter is going to give him over the head, which he did. And he went back. So I remember I was here maybe 20, 25 years ago, longer, and someone told me the name of the property of the yeshiva, I think, was donated by a woman named, I think, Ida Bloomberg or something. She's a relative of the Denbergs.
Oh, Ida Bloomberg. Yeah.
Ida Bloomberg.
Yeah.
She's a relative of the Denbergs.
Yes.
And the mice of the story, that was, I think, a gem also, Yechidus. From she wasn't from.
Right.
So she said to the Rebbe, she's Friedrich Rebbe. 1940s. Like, taking from me, taking my money, a donation. The Rebbe said, Friedrich Rebbe said, only God knows who's really from. What's from an acronym for? Teves, viel Risches und wenig, right? Mitzvahs. Viel Risches und wenig mitzvahs. Lots of evil, lots of bad, and a little mitzvahs. From. Expressions always said, from the Agalach. Religious like a priest. That's from. Let me tell you what from is. I had a Shved, his name was Chaim Serebransky. He was a Russian chassid, Emerson chassid, Chassidish Yid. In Melbourne. First 29 years of his life, he was in Rusland. He once came to the Rebbe, and it was, I think, Chalamoid Sufis. At that time, flying, probably the 1960s, early 70s. No, early 70s. And he comes, he's starving. He's been 36 hours on a plane, this plane to Indonesia, and here and there. Planes not how he flew. Finally comes to 770. 2 in the morning, he comes in. It's dark. You can't imagine it. Both right? 770 should be dark and quiet. That can't be, right? And those days, even in my days, at a certain time, the lights went off. There was one light left in the under the Vibershul or somewhere else, A Shver comes in, and there's no one there except one Bacher. That Bacher was Reb Naftali, the Stulans of Marafor Shlomo. I think he's related to the Cohens, right? They're married sisters. Tzemach Gerevich's daughters, 7 daughters. And he sees Naftali. Naftali is a Russian, he knew my Shver. He's a Russian, Lubavitcher Chassid. And my shver says, Naftali, Efshe Hosef says, maybe you have something to eat. I'm starving, I haven't eaten. So my shver didn't eat on the plane. There's no sukkah. He didn't drink either. Naftali says, Reb Chaim, it's 2 a.m. 770 is shut, closed, dark. There's no one around. Let me see if I have something. And he comes back with stale bread. A loaf of stale bread. My shver looks at it and says, Baruch Hashem. Listen to this, Cheder. Listen to this. He gives him the stale bread. My shver turns to Naftali and he says, where do you wash? He says, over there in the corridor upstairs, right, there's a sink next to the yichud room. My shver starts going there to wash. And then he turns back around. He says, I forgot. Who is the zalz? Where is the salt? Because you're supposed to dip bread, not in mayonnaise, not in tuna fish, not in avocado, but in salt. Naftali wants to fall kaidim. 2 a.m. I found you stale bread. There's nothing else to eat. And you want salt? In 770, salt? And he says to my shver, Reb Chaim, Schuldig, sorry, I don't have salt. My shver takes the loaf of bread, gives it back to him and says, thank you, but no thank you. He doesn't need it because he doesn't have salt. You talk about Yerushalayim? Yerushalayim? Who of us, starving after 36 hours on a plane, will turn down a piece of stale bread? You probably turn it down because it's stale, but even if you didn't turn it down, you turn it down because you don't have a little salt, you gotta be kidding. That's Yerushalayim. That's Lubavitch. That's Chabad. That's real Yerushalayim. Not fake, bluff Yerushalayim. This is what we're made out of. This is who we are. This is what we need to aspire to. It says in Chassidus, my mom talks about everything compared to the Abish, there is nothing. In the famous Chazal, the Mayore, right? And I think about the story, it's like, everything I do is nothing compared to a yid like this, who won't eat a piece of stale bread 2 a.m. because he doesn't have a little salt. That's Yerushalayim. And you need to think about this. You need to think about, where is our Avodas Hashem? So we talk about, I was speaking to the Bacharim, who was willing, I think, the Reb Hirschel's, or the other, or Reb Gershon's yeshiva, who was willing to give away their bed for a Mayore? So one of the Bacharim answered, I'll give it away, but he had a condition. No conditions. You have a guest, give him away your bed. Are you ready? Are you real about a Hachmas Sarchim? Or is it a Hachmas Sarchim that's tailored to your ideas? You understand? So, when we learn Chassidus, and this isn't Musar, we're Chassidim. This isn't Musar. This is healthy Chassidus. To really look at ourselves and to see how small we are, how infantile we are, or in Yiddish, how garnished we are, yet we are everything. Because the Eibusher says, I want you and I need you. So the Alter Rebbe, L'chaim. I'm waiting the story that I believe the Olam didn't hear. I heard this from Rabbi Yosef Seppel of Yerushalayim, who told me he heard it from Moshe Yudel Reichman, who was Reb Zalman Havlin's Aiden. And he was a brother-in-law to the Alter Simchovich. I'm giving you the Shalshelis. Ish mipi ish. The Alter Rebbe had a chassid, Reb Henich Shklover, Reb Henich Shik, right? Reb Pinchas Reizes. His name was Pinchas Shik from Shklov, whose father was Reb Henich, who was the second in command after the Vilna Gaon, by the Vilna Gaon. The Alter Rebbe, the Pinchas becomes a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. He was a Litvisher, a Misnagid, and becomes a chassid. In those days, when you did that, they literally sat shiva for you. Areish from if you're going to join the Kat, the cult, Chabad, Lubavitch, Chassidus, out. The Pinchas is like a Shvorn chassid from Alter Rebbe. He becomes a chassid. You want to throw me out? Throw me out. 2 years go by. 2 years. He hasn't seen his father hasn't seen him because he ostracized him. He threw him out. One day he's sitting in a park. Reb Henich walks by, and Pinchas is sitting and thinking Torah, thinking Chassidus. What does the chassid do when he goes to the, like whatever Greenglass said on the, thinks Chassidus, thinks Torah. I myself saw the Rebbe walking home many times from 7-7 to his house. We accompanied him, and if you looked, the Rebbe was murmuring Verte. The Rebbe was saying Torah as he was walking on the street. The Pasha was fulfilled with the Friedrich Rebbe writes, not Yom Yom Taras Aver. He was a chassid. Kipshuta took the Friedrich Rebbe's words. B'dav chazid and Torah Chassidus as you walk in the streets of Montreal, Manhattan, Chicago, Indonesia, wherever you are. And the Rebbe did it, right? So the Pinchas is doing that, picks up his head, and he sees someone walking by, and it looks like his father. He hasn't seen him in 2 years. 2 years. And his father looks at him, and he sees what looks like his son Pinchas. They come closer. They come closer. Are you Pinchas? Tate? Are you my tate? Are you my father? And they hug each other. And he sees a Yid with a board and payas or a beard and payas, with a kapote, a chassid, a Yid, a frum, and he says, I don't believe it. I thought you joined the cult and you became not religious, frei, and all that. You mean you're still religious? And not only, he says, yeah. So he says to him, Pinchas, who taught you to be frum and so frum? He says, my Rebbe. Your Rebbe? You mean the cult that you joined? He says, yes. My Rebbe, the Balatanya, the Alter Rebbe. So he says, I have to see your Rebbe. If your Rebbe can make you such a Yid, I have to see him. I want to talk with him. You understand, this is the second in command under the Goy. So the Pinchas says, Mayore, once a year, the Alter Rebbe comes to Shklov. And by the way, the deepest Mayore in Likutei Torah, or Shir Hashirim, was said in Shklov. I heard this from Ele Makasov, who's a big bucky, the Alter Rebbe's Mayore. The deepest Mayore in Likutei Torah are in Shir Hashirim, and where did the Alter Rebbe say them? In Shklov, Dalfin Shklov. Anyway. So, he says once a year, the Alter Rebbe comes to Shklov, because there is a shtibale, a Lubavitcher shtibel. That Moshe Rubin Shlomo, who lived in this community, would say that the Lubavitcher shtibel in Slonim was called the Damske shtibel. You know what Damske means? A damen, woman. The feminine shtibel. You know, for the weaklings, for the females. A steeple, a shul, a great shul with a big chandelier, with a great Soren Kodesh. That's a shul. A steeple, a few benches, and herring on a table, and all that. Come on. So Pinchas tells his father, the Alter Rebbe comes to our steeple, in Shklov, and he spends a Shabbos. And he says, Chassidus, Mayore, Farbrengen, Dalfin, Bariches. It's what we call an Erlich Shabbos. It's an awesome Shabbos. It's not just a Shabbos. It's a Shabbos. Come Shabbos, spend Shabbos with us in Shklov, in the steeple, and Motzei Shabbos, the Alter Rebbe gives Yechidus to anyone that wants to come in to see the Alter Rebbe. Motzei Shabbos. Kannst du reingehen? You can go in. He says, sure. By Yayoim, the Alter Rebbe came to Shklov, and the Henech Shklover is there, and he cannot believe what he hears and sees. The devotion, the Chassidishkeit, the Torah, the Negina, a real, authentic Chabad Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, he goes in and he says the following words to the Alter Rebbe. Rebbe, calls him Rebbe, Ka'ableini tachas kinofecha. Receive me, accept me under your wings. In other words, I want to be your chassid. Now I'm going to tell you what the Alter Rebbe said, and I want you to think and listen to it with Chabad, with your cup, okay? Don't listen to it, don't hear it narrow, and I'll explain a little bit. The Alter Rebbe answers, Reb Henech Shlover. Reb Henech, you want to be my chassid? You want me to accept you? A fine request, but I can't. Wow. Why not? Not because you're given out a snagid, but the Alter Rebbe quoted, we don't say, our list is called Yotzes. The Polish and others, they say, on the Dalit Parshas, they say special prayers called Yotzes, and also on the Shabbos before Shavuos. You look it up in Siddur Eitzah Tfilas, it follows the Aleph base, and then there's Ois Tes. I'll quote to you what it says. Tes, Tit, Oilam Haba, Chasidim Menu or Mimenu Nitzmochim. What does it mean? What does Tit really mean? With Parshas, now the Parshas? Cement, right? Tit. Oilam Haba, the world to come. Chasidim sprout forth from it. Very enigmatic. It makes no sense. Zot the Heilige Alter Rebbe, the Bala Lulav of Dalet Teves, the following types. Tit also in Yiddish means a tegel, a dough, a tegale. Tit. There is a type of a dough, Olam Haba, that's really the world to come. Olam Haba. Chasidim mimenu nitzmochim. Chasidim come out of this tegel. You know what the tegel is? The kichol and the little vodka, the Chaim, and the herring that you say, l'chaim, when you put some of the Shlomo at Tikkun or at a Farbrengen. And he says to Reb Henech, Reb Henech is nicht gemacht geworden von dem Tegel. You're not cut out of this dough. Now, what does that mean? You can't become a Lubavitcher chassid if you weren't born in Mevel, or in Kremachuk, or in Lubavitch. No. Is your mindset, as we said earlier, the paradigm, is your paradigm the shtickle tegel, the Chassidishkeit? You can sermonize, and you can darshan, and you could know, but if you don't have the Chassidishkeit, the Wahrheit, of a little piece of herring with a little l'chaim, be it wine, be it vodka, be it scotch, toasting to someone for their neshama of the parent or a friend, etc., then you're not shaykh to it. Not that you, of course you can do everything. The message is such a powerful, this story, to me, is a classic, important story of what Lubavitch is. What I saw by my shver, he was a real Russian Lubavitcher chassid. What I saw by this Yid is just this exact idea. Mamish. I'll give you an example. He was living the last 25 years of his life in Kronites, across 77. When there was Tishrei, he and his wife went to the Achnosis Avraham, I think to Mendel Hendel or that organization, and they offered to peel herrings and mices for hours, unsolicited. Why? So Bachram should have what to eat, so guests should have what to eat. Didn't make harash, it wasn't on COL, it wasn't publicized. When he was in Australia, the Bacharim were in Shluchim there, I think there's Shmuel Kramer, I don't know if it's here, he told me, my shver had a car. Bacharim didn't have a car, the mikveh wasn't where they were at the yeshiva, the YG. Yeshiva in that area, you had to go to. My shver gave him the car. Without questions. You have insurance, you don't have insurance. You know how to drive, you don't know how to drive. Give him the car! They Bacharim have to go to the mikveh. Go. I'm not suggesting we do crazy, wild things. I'm not suggesting that. I'm talking about the attitude and the mindset. It's not my car. The keys never leave the ignition. The story I told you before with Shlomo Schwartz and the other shluchim in California. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's ours. And when we live this way and we feel this way, then we have chassidus. The Rebbe, our Rebbe, lived this way. Not in every situation. In every situation, he lived this way. The Rebbe came from a place, Russia, hard times, difficult times. My wife Zayda Reb Zalman, who was the one who started the yeshiva and the moistus in Australia, many times he has probably 300 letters. He make a whole sefer from the letters of the Rebbe to him and him to the Rebbe. Ganz bichel. And many of those letters, he cries his heart out about situations on the ground. And look in the Igros Kodesh, for those that are printed there, the Rebbe says to him, always, cut out the Shmor Shchoyre. The Rebbe's not talking to me, he's talking to Reb Zalman, who was born in 1904, 2 years after the Rebbe, who on Chatzar Fagin in Tofresh Pei Hey said, come with me to the Frierdiker Rebbe in Leningrad. They were learning in Kharkov, in Rostov, I'm sorry. Come with me. And to the Rebbe, Reb Zalman said, I'm not ready. Can you imagine? You're offered a ticket. In those days, your mashpia, Chatzar Fagin, was Godel Shebegdolim. Sai as a mashpia, sai as a master of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Chatzar Fagin is. Reb Zalman didn't feel he knows what it means to be a chassid, a Rebbe. And Reb Nachum Goldschmidt spent with him months learning with him chassidus and explaining to him what a Rebbe is, what his kashus is. And then for Rosh Hashanah, I believe, when Chatzar offered him the ticket, he said, now I'm ready to go. Now I'm ready to go. By the way, Reb Zalman, I have a video, if you haven't seen it, it's online, it's worth watching. Talks about the Rebbe and his brother Reb Leibel. He met them in Yakinislov, and he describes them. It's very interesting. They put it in the early days, they cited it. So, the Babich Chassidim, wherever you are, there is a message, a message, there's a message, there's an approach. Tid Olam Haba Chassidim Memenu Nitzmochim. If you're in that kav, you're in. If not, you're not in yet. You're not in yet. You could get in. But you have to dedicate yourself to this. And this takes work. And work is healthy. If you don't work, my father always said, he's a Romanian Jew, but a feiler zak. You know what a feiler zak means? A feiler means lazy, zak is a sack, but it doesn't rhyme in English. You're a lazy guy. Work! My father always taught us growing up, you don't get the job that you want, go out and paint windows, go schlep water. Talking about Folakan, one simple story, Zion, Ches, and Tes, I forget, Samach, one of the years, I went into the 770 after the Hakofas in the Rebbe's room. Rabbi Yoel would go in, and then he would go home. And then he would sit for hours at his table, Farbrengen. So I went into the room, and I said to him, because it was a Zman, it was a very special time. I said, Rabbi Yoel, Zog, say something, tell me something. And I was very surprised when he told me. And he said, and I guess this was on his mind, and why it was on his mind, I don't know, but he said it to me. It crushed me. He said, du kannst sich nicht vorstellen, you can't imagine was faradachtos, what type of poverty we had when we came to Israel in 1935, 45. He didn't cry, but he was so broken. And it's the simplest day tonight. After dancing, hakafas, that's what he shared with me. I don't know why, but that's what he shared with me. And I share it with you. Again, not to bring out the negative and the depressive and all that. But when you know where you come from, and you know where you could reach, then the world is open to you. It's mamash is. So, it's simple Torah. It's a time of freilichkeit, happiness. But happiness doesn't mean shtusen. Rabbi Yoel always had a word he would share. He would say, Los de shtusen auf Tisha B'Av. The seriousness and the seriousness of Purim. Bachar will come in, this in the later years, to Rabbi Yoel Purim, Emetz Chamach Meshuga, Rabbi Yoel would say basically, cut it out. Purim is Adal Yada. To reach a point of Adal Yada is Lamayim Metam V'das, not to drink and become cuckoo and sugar. You want to make yourself silly? Do it on Tisha B'Av. Chassidim, Emes Chassidim teach us that there is an avodah here. There is a path. There is a trajectory. There is a mahalach. This isn't just, I'm here today, gone tomorrow. Who lives like that? My father always used the words, it's not such an edel word, but it's important. He lives a piggish day, like a chazer. That's what life's about, living like a chazer, fressing and sleeping and surfing the internet. That's what life's about. Learn another Plat Gemara. Learn another Sifri Shulchan Aruch. Learn another Maimon Chassidus. Go out and put tefillin with a yid. Do something meaningful. What are you wasting your time for? The worst thing's to waste your time in your brain. You're frying your brain, not through drugs, but through wasting your time. Do it meaningful. And that's what Chassidus Chabad is. It teaches you to be meaningful, to be serious. Serious doesn't mean, I was telling one of the groups I was speaking to today, to walk around, tachmurit. But serious means there's something important happening right now. The Rebbe teaches us. Mashiach is a reality. It's not a figment, we say in English, a figment of someone's imagination. Emes hat getracht. Someone made up an idea, come a day, Mashiach will come, Come on. Every day is a Mashiach day. But Emes, how? When Lenin to Medavim to Mahelf Tayyid. You know, it's interesting. When the Chavedim of the Alter Rebbe came to him and they said that they want to do a reciprocal Reish Memches, which means an excommunication on the Goyim who put a Reish Memches, an excommunication on the Siddim. So they said that they were told, in a Cholim or whatever the case, they were told that unless they can find someone who can match the Goyim in learning, it won't work. So the Yisrael of Polotsk, I believe, and the Shlomo Kaliner, different Gersois, different Sikhs, who were the two, came to the Alter Rebbe and they said, you are the one that can match the Goyim in learning. The Mela, in order for us to succeed with putting a reciprocal Reish Memches communication on the Goyim, we need you to join, to sign. The Alter Rebbe said, B'shum oifenat. They were willing. Dafka they were willing, and Dafka the Alter Rebbe said no. You know why? It's printed in the series, printed in the Yeshivas also. Good to put him in other places. Said because if we put the type, this is what Alter Rebbe said. The type of Reish Memches, the excommunication that we would have to put on the Goyim would be one that will cause him to have kfira, and that will cause a great Chilul Hashem, and I'm not participating. Because there'll be a great Chilul Hashem. So Rabbi Shlomo Karliner said to the Alter Rebbe, with who was standing there, that Moshe, his son, the way I heard it, I can't find the Lashon exactly, but something similar. Okay, he cursed Moshe by saying, we'll see who will cause a Chilul Hashem. I'm not going into the story now, it's a whole discussion. Rebbe Matis wrote a book about it, I'm not going to go into it right now. But I want to bring out that who did not want to put on the excommunication, Dafka Alter Rebbe. Avos Yisrael, on the Goyim. All of them were willing. All the Gdoilei at Tzadikim, they were willing to put the Reish Memches on the Goyim. After the Alter Rebbe said no. You talk about Avos Yisrael. It's now a bloodline, Avos Yisrael. Well, the Eibishter's helping. May Hashem help us. That we live more and more with these truths. And we don't let anything get in the way. And we have to have real love and concern about everyone, each other, and not allow, conditions and exceptions and reasons, excuses. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, listen to this. Tov Reish Peitet, 1929, 1930. So he stayed for the first 2 weeks in Borough Park, on the corner of 46th Street and 14th Avenue, which then there was a house in the corner. It was Rabbi Elia Simpson's new house. Rabbi Elia Simpson, the Chayza by the Rashab, first lived in Harlem. His brother lived there, then he moved over, took a job in Rabbi Ushpal Shul, which they knocked down on 12th and 41st, a 100-year-old shul. He was a Rav there, but there were, a lot of not from people and issues. In 1928, Rabbi Simpson was a Rav there. So in 1929, he makes his own shul, I believe, builds a shul, new house, gives the second floor to the Frierdiker Rebbe. So if you look at the video, the Frierdiker Rebbe is talking from the porch. That's in the corner of 46th Street and 14th Avenue. I made a clip on it if you want to know the details. It's on YouTube for those that want to look at YouTube. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, they came, Rabbonim came from all over the great New York area to give shalom to the Rebbe, to the Frierdiker Rebbe, right? And it was a balagan and people couldn't get in. The next day, the Frierdiker Rebbe got complaints from Rabbanim that he came to see him, they couldn't say Shalom. So the Rebbe called Rabbi Yisrael Jacobson, who came in 1926. Rabbi Simpson came to America in 1923. He came in 26. And the Rebbe says, Yisrael, I thought you would make Seder, and you'd let in the Rabbanim, you'd organize it. And Rabbi Yisrael Jacobson said, Rebbe, Rabbi Simpson, the Kramers, they're older, they've been here longer. He didn't blame them, but he's like saying, I'm the new kid on the block. I don't want to, stick my nose in where I don't belong. And listen to what the Frierdiker Rebbe said at Label Olta, at Label, our Mashpi in our Shul Borough Park, said that Rabbi Jacobson, his Zayda, walked around with this in his pocket all of his life. The following answer from the Frierdiker Rebbe. Yisrael, next to Mo, Villich B'Sherim, excuses. Excuses are excuses. You have a good excuse. Rabbi Simpson came earlier, the Kramers are in charge, you don't want to, stick your nose where you don't belong. Excuses. Rabbi Jacobson walked around with it. Rabbi Jacobson was a Ish Gadol, a great man, a great man. They talked about him all night. An Asken Amiti. There's a Lashon label showed me in the Yiddish Kodesh. Tremendous Lashon that the Rebbe writes about Rabbi Jacobson. Mamish, an Asken Nifla, Chassidish Yid, Harov, a Talmud Chacham. All the American boys, the Hefts, Kolotny, Barnetsky, and Levy, all time, on and on. They're all his Talmidim. They would have been Litvisher if they would have been from. Okay. They learned from Teves. Teves, Montreal all time told me, I spoke to him a lot. Montreal all time told me, you can't imagine what was going on in New York and in Brooklyn in the 1920s and 30s. Where boys went to Chaim, Berlin, and Teves during the day, and at night they went to college, to Brooklyn College. They became Apikurim because of one Jewish professor who was a denier of Torah Min HaShamayim. And they had a course called Biblical Criticism, Biblical Analysis, Rahman Litzlan. And he killed boys that were learning Gemara in the morning and were from and Gevon Apikurim, Rahman Litzlan. Montreal told me this. Montreal told me this. He knew these boys, his friends. So the Frierdiker Rebbe told this to Rabbi Jacobson, and he keeps it in his jacket, his kapota pocket till his day of passing, because he no excuses. He always looked for excuses, more excuses. Was husband from excuses. You're right. You have a reason. Oh, but the only dafta chessen, the poor person has to eat. So Rabbi say, let's stop with the excuses. Let's get to work. All the moistus are gewaldig. We have to do 10-fold, 100-fold, be'emes. And to revitalize and bring chassidus to the other kreisen in a peaceful way, in a sholomdik way. You had a yid here, Rav Naiman Osholem. The bells are dying, I think. Rav Naiman was the grandson or the son of the story with the Rebbe Rashab in 1903, where he fell asleep on the sofa with Freud. You know that story? It's in the Rishima Sosa. The Rebbe spoke about it in Parshas B'chesed Tafshin on Beis. Rabbi Naiman was from the third daughter. You have people around here. Milan to see this. Neveis wanted to see this. See, this is gewaldig. The emes. The Rashbats. You heard of the Rashbats of Shmuel B'Tzalel. Of Gat Ataych. I heard this in the Yisrael Friedman of Sholom. Lokeil Baruch Ne'imis Yiteinu. Lokeil to God. Baruch Ne'imis Yiteinu. Gives us blessing, sweetness. Of the Rashbats Getaycht. Lokeil Baruch Ne'imis Yiteinu. Whatever you consider sweet and honey and the best, you have honey here, right? whatever you consider gewaldig, gib weg zu Gott, yiteinu lokeil. Are we willing to give away what we consider precious and dear to God? This is what he told me the name when they heard from Chassidim, a taich for the Rashbats. I told this over to a Pilchik, a stone Chassidim, the Pilchiks, whose father and uncle learned in 770 Tafshin Tes, and they would always say we were so close to becoming Lubavitchers. But our father pulled us out at the last minute, so we remained stone. Fine. So the son, wonderful person. And you know, the Levitin, Reb Shmuel's son, Binke, young Levitin, was married to Pilchik. So they had a kesher. A lot of stories about that. So he said that I told him this taich, and every time he sees me, he says, "Zog me the taich." Der Mann Menachamo, remind me again. L'keil Baruch Di was L'Yiteinu. Let's emulate that. L'chaim. I think we'll end the Farbrengen, put on the formal part, and we mamshach another time. It's a very close ride from Montreal to New York, especially if you're flying. So the Abish will help them to come back, gesundheit, freiligheid, and again, a great session koyach to Reb David and Reb Avraham. Mamish, I said to him, he says, come to Farbrengen. I says, you have here a Rebbe Mochkin, you have a Rebbe Mayore Gerari, you have a Minkovich, you have Nissan and Paris, you have all these Chassidim and many others. What do you need Chaim Dalfin, who's an Americana Tzutzik? You know what Americana Tzutzik is? A chocolatkin is, you know, a sugar daddy, right? A sugar daddy with coating and sweets and chocolate and ice cream. Come on. These Chassidim were Russian. Chassidim, they come from the 50s, the 60s, whatever. The Chaim. So I came. But you need to Farbrengen yourselves. Rabbi Greenglass is Neil Emes, 15 years, he's looking down. You see a video, very nice, but come on, you guys have to be the Rabbi Greenglasses. I mean, you know, and you could do it. The Kenestan, the Emes, really. But that was not a Valentine. You have to just want to do it. Do you really want to do it? Or, no, yeah, maybe, yes, no. We have to wait once a year for Reb David to make a pa'ula like this in a beautiful hall with Essen, Mamish, Gewaldik, right? No. I was speaking to him before, a few weeks ago. I see these clips of Reb Eliev, the Garlitsky, with Rabbi Greenglass, Rabbi Hendel. It's a Ma'ariv, and after Ma'ariv, they sit down, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half an hour, they go home. It's like, you need posters, you need publicity. Okay, listen, today people are listening online and fine. What I'm saying is, don't limit yourself. Chassidish Heritage, Chassidish Farbrengen. It's, what are we now? Teves, right? Shvat's coming. Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Yud Shvat. Yud Gimel Shvat. Just saying. Chof Beis Shvat. Doesn't mean you have to sit 4 hours in Farbrengen. 10 minutes, 15 minutes is good. But it should be the Pnimius together. You know, how could it be that you go through a Yom of the Padre and you don't say a L'chaim, you don't say a Vod, you don't say, come on. You know, it's like, the Rebbe wants us to live Chassidus. My shver with Chazar, there were 3 people at Chazar at Mayore Shabbos in Australia. The Rav Perlov, one Shabbos. Reb Itcher Groner, the other Rav Shabbos, another Shabbos, and my shver, Chaim Serbramsky. They took turns, 3. Okay. There was a chassid, Reb Abba Pliskin, the contemporary of Reb Mendel, Reb Zalman, and Reb Shiakor, from those Chavit, from Kharkov. And he once heard my shver say Chassidus, Chazak Chassidus, and he really loved it. So he went over to his friend, Reb Zalman. He said, Zalman, dein Sohn Chaim, kennt Chassidus. He knows Chassidus. So Reb Zalman turned to his Chaver, Reb Abba Pliski, he says, kennt Chassidus is Gornish, lebt mit Chassidus. He lives with Chassidus. You know Chassidus. Okay. You have to live with Chassidus. Living with Chassidus is go around. It's a very different thing. A hergish, a regish. Chevre, wir können da sitzen a ganze Nacht in Darschen und hacken a Scheinig. And, Mayore, was wird sein? So, mit Gerät, man sich sein a zweite Mal, mit Hashem, and a great shkoyach again to Reb David, Reb Avraham, and everyone else who brought us together and made such a gewaldige, beautiful Irua. And in this shul, the Rav for many years was Reb Chaim Denberg, whose father, I think, was Rebbe Mendel Denberg, whose brother was Shaya Denberg, my Mechutin is named after him, who was a Tam and taught at Ashat Smichen, 1915. In this shul, I don't know if he came tonight. Did anyone see Professor Alan Nadler? Was he here tonight? No.
I don't think so.
He told me he was coming, but I guess he didn't make it. Jeder Yid is tired. Amol Fatrichman. Relax. The Rebbe knows how to take care of himself. Believe me. You know, there's many svarim that I wrote there. And I write sometimes controversial things. But how you write it, how you position it, how to look at people, how to understand two sides to the coin. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but Baruch Hashem, I can tell you that I've been invited to many different kinds of groups and organizations with philosophies and shittas. It makes no difference. When you talk from the heart, that makes no difference. I want to end off with one more story.
Pleasure.
What?
L'chaim.
L'chaim. In the Catskills, there's a bungalow colony called Mountain Lodge. You've heard of it?
Yeah. Why used to be the rabbi there? Right?
So, there was a Yid, his name was Mendel Greenbaum. I think one of the brothers, Yossi, learned here in Montreal. Their father. Reb Mendel was in the Korean War. Reb Mendel drove the Rebbe in the 1940s. He was a simple Yid. I knew Reb Mendel, and I spent time with him in Florida talking and interviewing him, which, by the way, I didn't say earlier, and unfortunately I should have said it. Not that I need your business, but I don't want you to go to the earth with all your memories buried. Young people, I'm not talking to you, but the older people, you have a whole life in front of you. A whole life with you. Who knows your story? Trust me, your kids don't really know your story. Most kids don't. You need to get someone to do oral history, family oral history. I'm not talking about German, I'm talking about your life, your parents, grandparents, where you come from. It's very important. It costs a few dollars, but I promise you, your kids, grandkids, and grandkids are going to thank you for it. I've done it so far about 10 Hasidim. One of them just passed away. He was 97, or 96, 97, 98, I forget. And thank God the family commissioned me to do it. We have 8 to 10 hours of oral history. What they do with it is their business. It's theirs, not mine. It doesn't go online. So pass on the message to people who are 70 plus. Really, I can't tell you how many people who I know who have such memories. and such stories, and no one knows. Finished. Anyway, so I'm in Mountain Lodge one Shabbos. My brother had just a bungalow there, so I went there on Shabbos. Kiddush time, 150 people, and there was, thank you very much, Shneir, Olansky, for helping me. Just kill the mitzvahs. Hashem should bench you with kol tuf sel. Only good things, Bagashmas and Baruchnis, including finding a nice wife, a good wife.
Amen.
Anyway, so Kiddush, Reb Shlomo Zachi is there, his brother's there, Reb Zusha Vilam is there, all over Sholem. Substantial people, learned people, Chassidim. I'm done. This is in Mountain Lodge. 150 people. I come like here. A lot of tables, food, Chaim. Mendel Greenbaum, who was a soldier, an ex-soldier, is making Kiddush on a glass of scotch or vodka, I forget. He downs the cup like it's water. I'm telling you. I was sitting right next to him. You know? And then he stands up, and I'm going to illustrate what he does. He has his cup here. He goes, Yechi, Adonenu, Moreinu, Rabbeinu, Melech, HaMoshiach, L'olam Va'ed. He does it 3 times. There wasn't a pin drop in that room. And I promise you, there were very big anti-Mashiachistas there. Big ones. I know them. No one said a word. Now, do you think they were scared of him? No. When Mendel Greenbaum, who the Rebbe called Mendel der Soldat, because he was a soldier, the Rebbe gave him that name, Mendel der Soldat. When he raised that cup, and he said Yechi, you know what he was saying? I love you, Rebbe. I'm not forgetting you. I miss you. And everyone in that room saw that he's talking from the heart. Because Mendel Greenbaum didn't know the intricacies of Yechi, and Yechi HaMelech, and Yechi, and not Yechi, and how Yechi, and ba. I promise you, he was not at that level or interested in those things. He knew one thing. It's a glass of scotch. It's a Kiddush Shabbos. And he loves the Rebbe. And he wants to remember the Rebbe. So he screams out from his heart what he screams out. Once in Los Angeles, in Bezer Shochat, one of my Rosh Yeshivas, Friday night, the Bachram are singing by Chodoi de Yechi. Bezer Shochat is very far from Rosh Yeshiva. And he lets them sing Yechi as they're dancing. And then he stops. He says, stop! And he says, if you don't sing Yechi with Kavona, you're not allowed to sing it. If you're singing it, you better mean it. And if you don't mean it, be quiet. I promise you that if we were to express our feelings, one person with Yechi, one person without Yechi, but the ikid is here, the kavodas halev, the sincerity. I love you, Rebbe. I miss you, Rebbe. I want to do for you. We wouldn't have any issues, differences, machlekes, and foolishness, stupidity. Okay? Convinced. Because I saw it in the room. I saw it with my own eyes in the room. They didn't throw eggs at him. They didn't throw water on him. They didn't throw wine on him. They didn't tell him, shut up, sit down. Gurdish. Nothing. Nada. Because he meant it. If you mean something, if you're really genuine, it's the Shmo, it's for the Eibishter, for the Rebbe, for Abbas Yisrael. That's all. That was the last story I want to tell you. That let's not get caught up and hung up on It's not just about Yechi, not Yechi, it's about all kinds of things. Stop. Do. Don't just learn Siddur. Leb Siddur. Give away your bed for Nachayid. Give away your gashmish. You sleep on the floor. My mother, Elel Sholem, would park herself on the floor right next to the couch so my grandmother, who had dementia, if she would fall off, she would fall off onto my mother, not on the floor. Are you ready to do that? Kibbud Avim. Are we ready to do that? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Are you ready? To sleep on the floor next to your mother, so if she falls off the couch, she falls on you, not on the floor. You understand, when you think about these things, at least when I think about these things, I see how infantile, how little I am. Mamish little. Everything we do is like, come on. Well, Abel's helping. We should go with simcha and strength and koyach and taka bizoicha with the Gula Shlema, because if the Eberster is waiting, I'm sorry to say, there's nothing to wait for. We've waited enough, and we need to continue. And the Rebbe didn't get morbid. Even when the Rebbe said the Kabbalah's Ketan's level, Lorik, and everything else, you think the Rebbe was depressed? Chas v'sholom. He went on with more strength and more strength. And then even after the stroke, the Rebbe continued coming out. Everyone sees these things and was there. No such thing. There's no room for melancholy. When you come here and see 150 people in a room on a Monday night, and tomorrow there's work, and today it's snowing, and it's the middle of a week, and the Kumtzich Pravin Yud Chavdalet Teves? Wow. The emes. The Alter Rebbe is looking down, he's saying, I have Siddim, I have Yidden, I have an army. Look what they're doing. It's Chavdalet Teves, 11, 12 at night, whatever the time is now. And Farbrengen, the Meret, the Mazink, the Mahakt. You know? Anyway, Chevre. In Daf Koyach. Chaim. What time is it now?
It's